So this is, if any of you were alive back then, this is the cover of Time magazine back in 1983, 4 years after I'd started the stress reduction clinic. And it's just like, you know, I look back on that time and I say, stress? What stress? Compared to now. I mean, there was no internet, there was no email, there was no instant messaging, there was, I mean, you know, there were no computers except mainframes. I used to say in the early 80s that I could get more work once I had my first PC, you know, which was like gigantic, that I could get more work done in a month than I could get done, I could get more work done in a day than I used to be able to get done in a month. Well, that was in the mid-80s. Now it's like I can get more work done in a day than I could get done in a year. That's not so good. You know, we're always on. You know, we're always on. Not so good. We're not computer servers, we're human beings. So here is the evidence from Liz Blackburn's lab and Alyssa Eppel, who is the mindfulness researcher in her lab, Proceedings in National Academy of Sciences, showing telomere length as a function of years of chronicity of caregiving of children. This is parents with children with severe medical and disabilities, okay? So it's like an unavoidable stress. You can't just walk out on your chest, I don't do stress, sorry, goodbye children. No, you can't do that. But look at this, also in that study. This is a perceived scale, a perceived stress scale. It's the perception of stress that makes the difference. If you are just dealing with it because it's the way it is, then you can be more transparent to the stress. Your telomeres are longer. If you take everything personally, your telomeres degrade. So if you want one take-home message from this, this turns out to be harder to enact than it is to say. Don't take things personally when they're not personal. Okay? Then you might ask, well, when are they not personal? That's a good question to keep asking yourself. It may be they're never personal. It may be that the you that you think you are is not the real you, that you're much bigger. And now the neuroscience is actually showing that. You want to be your narrative self? Fine. Then you're using certain regions of the brain. You want to be your direct moment-by-moment experiential self, grounded in the body? You're using lateral networks in the brain, a whole different brain profile. So you choose. One is related more to happiness. The left activation in the prefrontal cortex, if you put monks in the scanners, and I'll show you some pictures of that, you know, they have tremendous activation in the left prefrontal cortex in particular regions that have to do with approach and that have to do with emotional balance.